everyone, Tim with Collect Jurassic. We're here with another news update about a exciting Jurassic World new collectible hitting the market, and these are the Captivz original edition figures from Toy Monster. Really excited to talk about these. A lot of people have been sending them our way as they've been finding them in Australia, and we finally have some sort of like official looks at this that we can go ahead and share with everyone. So yeah, these are the new Captivz minifigures. They do come in an egg, sort of like a blind bag, if you will, but the egg itself is obviously has the Captivz and Jurassic World branding and this kind of cool label that gives it a little bit more of a texture, but you can actually remove that label to get the figure out. And inside the egg is slime. So you can kind of fish your figure out of slime, and that figure actually comes in little pieces, which we'll go ahead and take a look at the figures more in depth here in a second. But you can kind of see everything you get here. You get the ooze, the figure, the egg, and then some sort of like little play token for a game you can play. But I mean, the real star of the show, what we're really excited to talk about here today, is the figures themselves. They are beautiful. I mean, they're very small, only a couple inches, but just tons of detail. You can see in the T-Rex right here already that we're looking at a lot more detail here than we are, say, in like the Mattel minifigures. I mean, these Captivz from Toy Monster just have a lot more going on in terms of paint application and mold detail, honestly. And there's a whole bunch of them. I mean, they're coming out of the gate with this first wave of Captivz with a lot of different figures. You know, all the species you would expect, sort of post-Fallen Kingdom, a lot of the species that they've been making figures of, and a couple surprises too that don't normally get toys made for them. So that right there is kind of an exciting part of this toy line for me, is that we're getting some species done in toy form that we don't get very often. But let's go ahead and take a look at each one in depth, and I will start out with Indoraptor. So here's our nice close-up shot of the Indoraptor Captivz minifigure, and again, you can just see the detail here is incredible. Compare this with some of the other miniature figures we've gotten of Indoraptor, and this one totally takes the cake. You can see like the scaling. I mean, obviously these are promotional photos, but they are using like samples that are indicative of a production run. So all that detail more or less is going to be in the final figure if you were able to track one of these down. Next up is Baryonyx. So this one's definitely got a little bit more of a contrasted paint application. It's sort of like a graphic version of the movie color with that white strip, but I think they're going to probably continue to refine these paint applications as they release more waves, and this one for sure I think needs a little bit of refinement with that sort of solid glowing eye and this very, very stark paint job. But the next figure is one I'm very excited to talk about, and that is Brachiosaurus. We do not get enough Brachiosaurus as toys in Jurassic. We've certainly got some great ones like the Mattel Brachiosaurus, but really just not a lot of Brachiosaurus. So Captivz is making that right, and they are releasing a minifigure. Pretty cool. I like the coloration. Again, those solid bright eyes. I don't love those, but I wish they just done black or something, something a little more friendly looking. But still happy to get another Brachiosaurus as part of this toy line. And of course, it wouldn't be a Fallen Kingdom toy line or a Jurassic World toy line without blue. You gotta have blue, and here is blue again. It is a new pose though. I still feel like even though a lot of different toy companies make different toys, we kind of get the same poses over and over again. So at least blue in this case does kind of have like this overhead look, but not a lot more detail on this one than just the blue stripe, which is kind of surprising because some of the other figures have so much more detail, but blue's pretty bare bones here. But that's just another carnivore. But going back to their herbivores, we have the Stegosaurus, not to be confused with Brachiosaurus, but this is indeed a Stegosaurus, which have gotten a lot more love since Camp Cretaceous came out, and we're getting a figure as part of the Captivz line too, kind of in like a cool charging state. But I really like the way this one looks. It has a lot of detail. You can see all the little scales and stuff in the body in this mold. So beautiful little figure to collect and build as part of this toy line. But we do have another Raptor as part of this, not just blue. I think this is supposed to be Echo or Delta. I'm not sure, but Toy Monster says they're kind of working on the paint applications for the Raptor Squad to kind of get them aligned with the modern Raptor Squad colorations that are we're seeing a lot more in toys. Not always 100% correct, but at least they'll all be consistent. But this Raptor mold is beautiful. Again, the glowing eye is kind of a bummer for me, but overall I think the figure looks very, very cool. Again, the detail is very nice. Back to herbivores, we're looking at Stegosaurus here, and I'm not sure if this is supposed to be an adult or a juvenile or a baby. If it's an adult, it's got a real swollen head, so I'm not sure it's supposed to be an adult Stegosaurus, but maybe a baby or a juvenile. It's kind of interesting. I mean, a lot of these figures seem to be made out of film assets or matching something to the film, but this one, I wonder where this one's coming from, because it doesn't look quite like a normal Jurassic World Stegosaurus. It looks like a youngin, but lots of cool paint wash on this one still, regardless of what it's supposed to be. Next up, we have Trainidon, flying reptile. This is kind of a wild figure. The coloration is kind of wild. That solid bright eye is just really, really beady on this particular one. I gotta say, I really like a lot of these Captivz figures, but not a fan of this one. But maybe that's because I'm not a fan of Jurassic's Trainidons in general. So really, any figure they come out with, I'm not crazy about. But this is just a really weird paint, like a paint application. I mean, he looks like a Halloween decoration or something. The spooky Trainidon, I don't know. But not my favorite in this line. This one, however, Stiggy Moloch, certainly we all have Stiggy fatigue, but this little minifigure coming out for the Captivz line is beautiful. I mean, look at the detail on that face with the horns and the eye. So you can see here the black eye. I mean, it just makes this figure. It looks so much cooler with the black eye versus that glowing yellow eye. So they should kind of take what they've learned from this figure and maybe bring it into some of the other molds for later waves of Captivz, because yeah, this figure is definitely doing something right. Back to Mosasaurus, swimming reptile. This figure is pretty cool. I mean, it definitely looks like it does in the movie mold-wise. It's very similar to the movie's design of Mosasaurus, but it's a little bright. And again, that glowing eye is, a little bit too intense for me, but I'm still very, very faithful to the movie in terms of like the design and silhouette. Good old Mosasaurus. I think we have a couple other minifigures of this, but this one definitely looks very detailed. We have a Triceratops as part of this line too. Probably one of the better looking figures for the entire Captivz toy line. I mean, this thing just looks great. Looks just like a Jurassic World Triceratops, and you can see the kind of paint technique they have across those scales really gets the detail kind of brought out in between each scale, and it looks really nice. And I'd love to see the finished figure to see just how much more of that detail comes through versus this promotional shot. This brings us to the metallic versions of some of the figures. So I mean, when you go to the store, there's a whole bunch of eggs you can choose from, and you kind of have to choose at random, and some of them will be rarer than others, like this bronze Indoraptor. That's supposed to be bronze, but the detail still looks really nice in this metallic paint app. It's kind of interesting they're doing metallic chase figures, because that's something that Mattel does with their minifigures, but it's kind of something all toys do to an extent. But the metal effect on these just looks really, really, really nice. It looks even better on the T-Rex, honestly, in this silver. It's just very, very poppy and brings out the texture of the mold on the actual figure, just in a really cool way. It looks very regal. This one's probably my favorite out of all of them. We have one more to go over, but the silver T-Rex just is show-stopping. It looks like, at least in these photos, it looks like it could be pewter metal or something, but it is plastic, just painted metallic, and or at least casted in metallic plastic to give it that effect. We also have a gold blue. I think this is probably the rarest figure you can track down as part of the Captivz lineup. So that blue figure we went over earlier, but obviously just in gold paint. I'm not sure like how rare these are, if it's like 1 per case or like 1 per 5 cases, but it is the rarest one out of all the figures we went over today. So if you ever find these in store, consider yourself lucky if you manage to unhatch this one. And there's one more figure we want to go over that's not part of like the blind eggs, and that's the Indominus Rex. It's part of Toy Monster's collector case they're doing for Captivz. We don't have a photo of what that collector case looks like, but this Indominus Rex is exclusive to that, and it's a beautiful figure. I love this one. Probably another one of my favorites from this whole toy line. They really captured the little details and the coloration really well, and it just looks like your our favorite ferocious Indominus Rex. It's got a nice pose as well. So a really nice minifigure for this one that I'm excited to track down at some point. But yeah, all these figures are just really, really cool. Again, they are exclusive to Australia right now. This Captivz original edition is sort of like their pilot wave as they kind of, get this whole toy line that is Jurassic World Captivz sort of ready for an international rollout, which is right around the corner. I've been in touch a little bit with the company that makes these Toy Monster, and they've been really, really helpful and kind of giving me information about what we can expect from this toy line. And it looks like they'll be around here hopefully in this spring 2021 if all goes well. So really excited about that, and of course stoked to kind of look at this first wave too. But that's all I got for today. Again, I'm Tim with Collect Jurassic, and thank you for watching.